Good afternoon, Tony Dattino, doing my live with Tony. I am the founder of the USA Memory Championship, so stay tuned with our website as we have our 24th USA Memory Championship coming up on September 24th is when you'll be able to see the results of it on YouTube. And we're coming up to that event, which we'll be doing at Full Sail University here in Winter Park, Florida. We've got our 12 finalists ready to go. We had a great call with them this Monday evening, and they are as excited as I am to welcome them here to Winter Park and keep them going. But I am in Windermere, Florida, and I was out doing my swimming this morning. I do a mix of running 3 days a week and swimming 3 days a week and biking 2 days a week when it's not 100 degrees outside. But I did some weight this morning, been very active today. And as I was doing my reading this morning, there was an article that just continued to drive me crazy about where the different scientists that do their studies and white papers and come up with their research can just drive us totally nuts and go back and forth and back and forth. And I'm reading one here today. Coming out of New Scientist magazine. Now, we obviously talking about living with AI, which seems to be getting a lot of news, but this is the July 29 to August 4 issue, the July 29, August 4 issue of New Scientist. It's usually one of my favorite magazines, but I read something in it today that totally drives me crazy. And then I pull out one of many that I've read in the last month. But this is nutrition, health and nutrition newsletter, comes from Tufts University, the Friedman School of Science and Policy. So I'm going to use this to highlight at least one of the differences, and I could get you a whole bunch more on this, but this is what they're saying. So I found an article interesting, 8 healthy habits linked to living decades longer. That's an interesting thing. I look at this article, and new findings on maintaining cognitive health. So on one level, we're looking to live longer, yes. On the other level, we're looking to maintain living longer, but we want to be mentally assured of what we're doing. And in surveys that have been done here in Florida for people that were asking, would you like to live to be 100? The biggest response was, yes, only if I could maintain my mental functions and I knew who my friends were and people that were around me. But here we go. 8 healthy habits done in this study. It was done with using U.S. military veterans between 40 and 99 years old. So this is interesting. U.S. military veterans, 40 and 99 years old. They completed a survey on their lifestyles between 2019 and 2011, back in 2011 to 2019. And they looked at their lifestyles. And they analyzed the data from their health records that then came back. What it discovered is that a significant portion of people had various habits that they maintained, and these 8 habits were correlated with a lower risk of dying during a particular period of time. First was eating a healthy diet. All right, we talked about nutrition over and over and over again, and the foods we eat and what they do to our cardio, also impacting on mental health, since the foods we eat have a huge impact on the chemistry that goes on in our brain and impacts our thinking. No new news here. They talked about the exercise. They were all maintaining some level of exercising. And so movement, we keep talking about the importance of movement and exercise. And we keep finding and listening to movement and exercise in 3 flavors. One is aerobic, which I'm constantly working on in terms of maintaining some form of aerobic in either the running I do or the swimming I do or the biking that I do. Second is in the weightlifting, the anaerobic, keeping your muscles, right? We keep finding more and more about the importance of our bone health and our muscle structure. And then the third one is in flexibility, our bones in our hips, in our knees, in our shoulders, rotator cuffs, knee joints, and hip replacements. So how do we maintain those 3 elements to maintain healthy exercise activities that keep us living longer by decades, right? Let me go back. Maintaining, this was a real great one, maintaining positive social relationships. So now they distinguish not just having relationships, but are they positive? Do we have healthy people that make us joyful and happy and that we want to be around? But they do a little bit of a conflict with this a little later, which is what caused me to go and start to think about, the different science reports and what they're saying. But at least they talk about managing positive social relationships, managing our stress levels, right? Reading another article on cortisol, right? Cortisol in its design is there to help us fight or flight. It helps to protect us. So cortisol at its best is there to help us fight off enemies or things that threaten us in some level. But stress brings that cortisol, fight or flight, but that prolonged stress without resilience, cortisol is not good for us, and so it has a negative impact. So how do we shut down our cortisol levels? And because of the inflammation that it causes within our body, which obviously has an impact on our brain. Consuming alcohol in moderation. Now, this is the old wine. Here's one back and forth. Is wine good for you? Is red wine good for you? Should men be drinking 2 glasses of wine? Should women be only drinking 1 glass of wine? Is red wine the best thing for you? What about the grapes? Can you not get it from grape juice? Can you not get it from eating grapes? I'm not sure who's sponsoring the search of alcohol and consuming alcohol in moderation, and whether or not you're drinking red wine or yellow wine or whatever wine. This whole notion of wine is like one of the roller coaster rides that have continued to go on. It reminds me of vitamin D. Getting out in the sun was wonderful when you were growing up, or at least when I was growing up and younger. Well, I was getting out vitamin D, natural vitamin D in the suns without taking vitamin supplements is wonderful. You should get out there. It's great for you. And then all of a sudden, melanoma starts showing up and different skin cancers. And, you should not be in the sun. And by the way, you should have sunscreen. And recently I'm reading about sunscreen, and there are sunscreens that are going through the pores in your body, and some of those sunscreens are not good for you. You shouldn't be putting those on your skin. So here we go. Sunscreen is good. Sunscreen is not good. I'm reading an article this morning on a whole new sunscreen study. In fact, what are people to believe after a while? What advice should they be following? Here, we're looking at super sunscreen, reading it in the same article where I'm reading about the eight things you should be doing. And so sunscreens are accused of harming the environment and even our own selves. Can we have new nature-inspired lotions that eliminate our concerns? All right, so we're now going from vitamin D to sunscreens to wine, moderation. Let me see if we can keep going here. Now, you've never smoked, got that one. I mean, that's what smokes do to your lungs and obviously have an impact. Sleeping well. So our sleep patterns, right? More and more research is coming out on the importance of sleep and how it impacts our mental functions and how it cleans out the toxins in our brain. So we should be sleeping well and not having a drug addiction. I think that goes without saying. And now we go to another one. Is cannabis good for us? Is this beneficial? Should we not be taking this drug? Should this helping us? And so now we've got national cannabis locations that are opening up in various locations, and studies that are saying, well, maybe not so fast. The conflicts in science just keep coming at us, and people are wondering, what the heck do we do? So this goes on, and it then goes on to say how they studied various groups of people and what their impacts are. Using the information they pulled together, they looked at the lifespan of people, of men and women, who lived to be 20 to 30 years longer, and then those who didn't adopt any interventions. And then it was talking about the importance of trying to pick these up by at least by the age of 60. Obviously, if you haven't adopted some of these by age 60, you may be in trouble for a whole lot of reasons. And so there's hope for us, at least if we start picking these things up by the age of 60, and we could extend our lives by 18 years if we were so smart enough to be able to figure out what the right ones are to do it. But the one that really got me going here was they gave social interaction as the lowest impact in terms of things to do. And yet they talk about the importance of social interactions with positive folks and relationships. And here we go. The findings on cognitive health. Be social. Spending time with others, even over the phone or video chats, is good for your cognitive and overall health. And I wonder where the people who wrote this in this current issue of New Scientist, where they've been for the last 3 years, as we've shut down kids and adults and seniors and various groups of people, where we have been in terms of being isolated or lonely, and what its impact has done on life expectancy. And studies done by Hopkins and Cleveland Clinic just would so contradict what's here. And so, should we be sociable? Should we not? Should we be hermits? Should we stay isolated? How did you feel during COVID when you didn't get to go out? You had to do what they call lockdown. How would your kids respond to this? Did they feel good about staying home and not going out and playing with their friends? How did your dog feel when you told your dog, hey, we may not be going out for a walk today? This stuff drives me crazy, and it drives me crazy because one of the things that I've been advocating, and I've got 30 years of experience now to watch it, is the importance of mental challenges for people, engaging their brain into various sorts of different activities. And now comes the last conflict I'll talk about for this broadcast, which is, what mental games are the right ones for you? Is Sudoku a good thing? Are crossword puzzles a good thing? Well, what do we really do to stretch ourselves and bring ourselves to a level of really exercising our brain? And so what are the right challenges that we do? And I think memory mnemonics, which we talk about in our USA Memory Championship and demonstrate through the mental athletes that come from all parts of the country, that clearly demonstrate the importance of memory training and its impact. And somebody sends me a note last night of one of our country's scientists who turns around and actually spoke at one of my USA Memory Championships, and he's advocating the importance of memory training and the differences it does make in people's cognitive functions. So this is the stuff that people like question then and lose trust in the science. But more importantly, they lose trust in what they can do to make a difference in their own lives. And that's the saddest part to me about all of it, because one thing I do agree with, there are things we can do in our personal lives and lifestyle that we can alter and change that have a huge difference on not just our heart health, but our mental health. Add those together and it talks about the difference we can make in our lifetime and building relationships that are joyous and fun, that make us want to keep going. It's weekend time, and it's hot here in Orlando. We're hitting the upper 90s. In fact, even sitting at the pool this morning in between doing some swimming activities, just sitting there underneath the canopy, just started to sweat, and I said, gee, it's time to get back into the pool, except the pool temperature is 89 degrees. So a little bit warm in the pool. It'll get totally cooled down, but it's certainly better than 97, 98. So I jumped into the pool and then went and changed in the bathroom and headed on home into the air-conditioned home and said, I got a little bit of housework to do, but I've got to make sure I do my Friday Live with Tony. And so here I am, and may this be a good weekend for you. May you be in a place where it's not raining, because I'm trying to watch the Little League World Series, which I enjoy every year. But let's hope it's not raining in your community and you have a nice, maybe 80-degree temperature day here in the Orlando area. We're going to be sweating bullets, and I wonder how many people want to come to Orlando and go to theme parks during the month of July and August. Have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.